What advice did they give you coming into, playing in the first pro game?
No, they just said learn, be a sponge. They said, and give myself some grace. Don't put so much pressure on myself because you're a rookie at the end of the day and you're going to get some top elite players. So.
What have the nerves kind of settled down for you? Does it feel like you're kind of settled in now?
No, not yet. It hasn't hit me yet. Like life just been like a roller coaster, literally.
You've talked a lot just about learning from other players and just kind of asked a lot of questions. What are some of the big things that you've learned and taken away here over the first few days?
I learned a lot, like moving up without the ball in.
With the boycott conversation continuing to build momentum around the Fever, the team has been conducting a series of interviews through local outlets, with Amber sitting down with the Indy star as part of what appears to be an ongoing effort to shape the public conversation heading into the season. Raven Johnson spoke openly about the reality of stepping into a professional league for the first time. The idea of sharing a court with players she grew up watching, names like Sabrina Ionescu and the New York Liberty roster, still feels surreal to her. She described the upcoming preseason opener against New York as the kind of moment that will likely hit her all at once she's actually standing inside Barclays Center looking around at players like Breanna Stewart. Veteran teammates reached out ahead of the transition, with the core message being straightforward: absorb everything, ask questions, and stop expecting perfection from yourself right away.
The ball in my hand. I feel like the IQ for the game here, everybody on this team has elite level IQ. They move with a purpose. They're smart. They know what they're doing. They're vets. It explains it all, honestly.
Has Steph given you an idea, the coach any idea of what your playing time might look like Saturday or how they're planning to use you into the end of the game?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to be ready whenever my number's called. Yeah.
How quick was the transition, from one to the next, and how are you being mindful of your body and giving it rest after a Final Four run again?
Oh, it was very quick.
Being a rookie going up against seasoned professionals means the margin for error is already accounted for by the people around her. Johnson said the nerves have not fully settled. Life since the college season ended has moved at a speed she is still adjusting to, and the physical demands have been just as real. The turnaround from the Final Four run to the first WNBA practice came within a matter of days. Recovery has meant leaning on the training staff and forcing herself into the ice tub daily despite genuinely disliking it, a habit the veterans pushed on her early.
Final Four run again.
Oh, it was very quick. I feel like I just played like a week ago, literally, but I'm just taking care of my body. I have a good training staff that helps me, ice tub, even the vets, they tell me to get in the ice tub every day, which I hate. I hate the ice tub, but I get in it and it just take care of my body, honestly.
Do you think you'll take a moment, like at Barclays Center, look around, like, hey, here we are, kind of the...
Yes, I'm probably gonna be like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. Like I feel like I'm dreaming. I don't even know how to explain. Like this is like a surreal moment, honestly.
On the basketball side, she pointed to off-ball movement as a major area of focus. The level of basketball IQ across the Fever roster stood out to her immediately. Every player moves with intention and purpose, and the adjustment for Johnson has been learning to operate within that kind of system rather than relying on having the ball in hand. Her role for Saturday's game remains open. Johnson said she is simply staying ready for whenever her number gets called, with no specific details given about how the coaching staff plans to deploy her.
Like I feel like I'm dreaming. I don't even know how to explain. Like this is like a surreal moment, honestly. But I'm probably gonna be like, wow. I'm about to go look at the players and be like, Breanna Stewart, what the heck? Sabrina Ionescu. Like I'm probably gonna do stuff like that.
How are you feeling about things the weekend to camp now?
Feeling good. I think everyone, today's a good day. You can feel the excitement. We did some little bit of personnel heading into the game tomorrow, so I think everyone's really excited for a chance at a real game.
So how do you approach these preseason games, I guess? Just what's kind of your mentality? How do you handle this now? I've been through this before.
Yeah, it's good to get live reps, game reps, get a chance to really...
Stephanie White addressed the broader preseason approach separately, noting that the primary goal is to get everyone real game reps, test different lineup combinations, and start identifying rotations that hold up on both ends of the floor. The plan is to run fairly standard lineups in the first half, and use the second half to distribute minutes more widely. Chemistry has been building naturally through camp, with different groupings appearing to mesh quickly, though White acknowledged that understanding individual tendencies, who cuts, who fights over screens, takes time to fully develop. White also spoke about managing the star players through what is the longest season in league history. The emphasis is on being selective with repetitions for players like Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, and Aaliyah Boston, getting them in and out strategically rather than running them through everything.
A chance to really understand how the warm-ups go, what makes you feel good, what makes you feel ready for the game, and then in the game, I'm sure we'll mix the lineup, so building chemistry out there with everybody. But ultimately, it's to win. I think there'll be a lot of competitiveness, first preseason game of the season, so I think everyone's excited, but we're treating it like a normal game for sure.
When they're tinkering with lineups like that, can you tell pretty quickly if the chemistry is there? Can you feel immediately, or is that something that kind of takes time to build and you maybe need a couple goes at it?
I'd say a little bit of both. I feel like, honestly, we've mixed it up this.
The situation with Mitchell last year, where she acknowledged being overextended by the end of the season, is clearly informing how the staff approaches load management this time around. Keeping depth intact and maintaining a genuine rotation rather than leaning too heavily on starters is described as a priority from day one. Among the new additions, White said every single one of the newcomers has stood out in some way. Their willingness to receive feedback, ask questions, and improve day over day has been noticeable, and she credited strong college programs for sending players in with the right habits already in place. Megan McConnell was mentioned specifically as someone who has brought consistent energy, been assertive defensively, and shown real vocal leadership at the point guard spot, qualities that have impressed people around the program through the early stretch of camp.
I'd say a little bit of both. I feel like, honestly, we've mixed it up this week, and everyone's playing well with everybody. So I think it'll be pretty seamless, but it's good to get, everyone's tendencies are different. Who's going to cut? Who's going to fight over screens better? So you kind of know, how to play on the offensive and defensive side together, and that's just only going to keep growing.
Has any of the newcomers stood out or jumped out, or you've been more impressed with?
I mean, honestly, all of them. I've been very impressed with their just willingness to learn, willingness to, take feedback, ask questions.
The Dallas Wings are in a far more precarious position than most of the off-season coverage has suggested. Despite receiving glowing grades from several analysts, Candace Parker apparently ranked them near the top of all off-season performers. The moves made this past off-season raise serious questions about where this roster actually stands. The core issue is defense, or rather the complete absence of it, starting with Paige Beckers at the point. And to be clear, Beckers is a genuinely talented player, arguably one of the best offensive guards in the league, but as a defender at the starting one position, the picture gets complicated quickly. Running through the league starting point guards, Beckers comes out on the wrong side of most comparisons.
Their just willingness to learn, willingness to take feedback, ask questions. They've gotten better every single day. And I think that's just, they came from great college programs, great college coaches, and they're excited to be here, and I think you can really tell that.
Do you have any advice? Do you give any advice to the rookies on what to expect when they take that forward for the first time?
I mean, watch the people in front of you. Watch the people out there the first 5 minutes so you can kind of see the pace of the game, the feel of it, and try to have fun and play without nerves. I think for them, a lot of times, they'll go out there, they're nervous to screw up. As a rookie, I can definitely attest to that you feel the pressure, but it's just...
She is not faster than Jordan Canada. She does not match up with Jackie Young or Courtney Williams. Kelsey Plum is roughly equivalent. Beckers is a small 5'11" and will regularly be tasked with defending small forwards, a mismatch that compounds across 40 games. Aerial Powers generates steals but is not a true stopper either.
Feel the pressure, but it's just another basketball game, and hopefully they'll go out, have fun, get some stops, make some baskets. It'll be fun.
When you are a rookie, does that pressure ever go away in those early games, or is it just kind of with you until you've officially made the team?
I think, at least for me, it was as soon as you step on the court, there's some nerves, and then when the whistle blows, you forget about it. It's just basketball at that point.
One thing I'm wondering about is Megan McConnell. What have you seen from her as she tries to prove herself?
I mean, she's great. She's a great person. She brings a lot of energy. She's aggressive on the defensive end. I think she's done a really good job being vocal.
That is two questionable defenders in the starting lineup before getting to Jess Shepard, who is a useful bench contributor but not the elite defensive presence some have portrayed her as. Alana Smith is the one legitimate defensive asset on this team. She can protect the rim and alter shots, but she is not the caliber of anchor that players like Aja Wilson or Natasha Cloud-era defensive centerpieces represent. Smith can be the best defender on a good defensive team. On this roster, she is essentially the entire defense.
I don't get it. I don't get it. They don't have any defense at all. This is a team where I'm Paige is Paige. Paige is Paige. I'm not knocking Paige Beckers. Paige Beckers is Paige Beckers. And I think the Paige is going to be unbelievable. But I'm looking for the article, which is really annoying.
The offensive fit is equally problematic. Beckers is at her best as a shot creator and off-movement scorer. Enrique is also a shot creator who wants the ball in her hands. AC Faust's greatest value comes from off-ball activity and spacing, but in this system she is likely to end up stationed in the corner as a spot-up option.
Which is really annoying. Which is really annoying me that I haven't been able to find it. Because I had it earlier today. And Kurt Miller said their starting five is like the star five, is like basically a super team. And that they have no holes on defense. Like their starting five is 5'11" Paige Beckers at the point, who is better off the point. But again, look, Paige is a good point guard. She's a great wing. She's a good point.
If that is the role, it raises a reasonable question why spend a first overall pick on someone to stand in the corner and shoot 40% from three when a veteran minimum signing could approximate that same output? The backup depth makes things worse. Odyssey Sims is a player with a very well-documented split. When she starts, she is a functional if below average option. When she comes off the bench, the production collapses to near unplayable levels.
Good point guard. She's a great wing. She's a good point guard. So let's just say that. So we got a good point guard. On the defensive end, where does Paige rank as far as starting point guards are concerned? So I'm going to say Paige Beckers is an equivalent, maybe, like, depending on the day, some days should be better than Caitlin, some days should be worse. She's a better defender than Serena Ionescu. Let's look through all the teams. Is she a better defender than Julia Alamon? Probably.
Bringing her in as the backup point guard, a role that requires coming off the bench by definition, seems like a decision made without reviewing that history. Zaza Cunningham is a shot creator in a similar mold, useful in the right context, but this team does not lack shot creation, it lacks everything else. Leah Rue rounds out the depth as the primary backup big, and the honest read on Leah Rue is that the idea of what she could become is more appealing than what she has consistently delivered.
Or if Sykes has the one. Hell no. Better defender than Carla Late? Probably not. Better defender than Courtney Williams? No. Better defender than Jackie Young? No. Better defender than Jordan Canada? No. Better defender than Monique Komikani? No. Better defender than Sabrina? Sure. Better defender than Caitlin? Maybe. Better defender than who's starting for the Storm at the one? I have no idea. Heidemann? Sure. Better defender than...
Shepard is being paid close to $1 million on a multi-year deal despite not being...
Than Burton? Hell no. Better defender than Kelsey Plum? Equivalent. Better defender than... Who the fuck? Amor? Sure. But like, AZ Foot as a defender. Is she fast? Is she quick laterally? Not really. Is she big? Not really. At 5'11". Is she gonna have to guard small forwards? Sure. And she's a small 5'11", by the way. Arike Gumbawale gets steals. But like,
the problem is that record probably sneaks them into the 8th playoff seed rather than keeping them in the lottery. Instead of positioning for a top 3 pick in what is shaping up to be a loaded draft class, Guju, Hidalgo, Madison Booker are all names that could genuinely transform a young core. The Wings are likely looking at a pick somewhere between 6 and 9. Madison Booker is worth dwelling on specifically. A player of her profile, running alongside Beckers and Enrique on the wings, would give the team actual size in the backcourt, a secondary facilitator, and a complementary offensive identity rather than 3 players all trying to do the same thing.
But like, she's not a great defender. So you got 3 poor defenders. Jess Shepard's not a defender. I don't know where they got Jess Shepard being as elite defender from. Jess Shepard's not really a defender, if we're being honest. Shepard is not a elite defender. But like, Alana Smith is. I'll give Alana Smith that. But like, Alana Smith is not this defensive anchor like a Magbagor or an Asia. She can be a last.
Hidalgo would add defensive bite. Samaya Nichols is another name that fits. All of those paths are harder to access if the Wings back into a playoff spot. The contract structure creates long-term headaches on top of the short-term roster problems.
She can be a last line of defense on a great team. But she's not like that level of defensive anchor. She can be the best defensive player on a great team, sure. Which she's shown she can be. But like, this starting 5 does not have any size, isn't particularly fast other than Arika. It doesn't play fast, by the way. This is not a good transition team. This is not a particularly great shooting team. And I'm not saying it's a...
Enrique is locked into a 3-year max. Alana Smith is on a multi-year max deal as well. Shepard is committed for multiple seasons. Becker's exceptional player provision will activate sooner than most projections account for, and when it does, Alana Smith and Enrique will still be drawing max salaries simultaneously.
Particularly great shooting team. And I'm not saying it's a bad shooting team. I'm saying that Paige Beckers is a spot-up shooter. She is a spot-up shooter. Azzi Foot is a spot-up shooter from 3. Enrique wants to shoot off the dribble. Paige Beckers being the point guard, if it's her job to pass the ball to Azzi and Enrique, okay, then you're taking away Paige Becker's best asset, which is her shot creation. But then Enrique's best asset is her shot creation, and Azzi Foot's off-ball movement is probably...
The cap flexibility that would normally allow a franchise to build around a star is largely spoken for. Dallas retains team control of Beckers for the next 4 years. That is actually a meaningful window long enough to build something real if the decisions made during that period are sound. The difficulty is that the current approach is spending down that window chasing a playoff appearance that, if achieved, probably lands somewhere between the 6th and 8th seed with no realistic path to a championship.